Interesting one, this. The story of Crystal Palace and their European campaign, whether it's going to be in the Conference League or the Europa League, is something that's going to rumble on for at least the next few weeks, and the fallout and controversy from it is not going to stop anytime soon. I think even if they got reinstated back to the Europa League, their fans are still going to be booing the UEFA anthem like Manchester City fans did back in the day. I really don't think they're going to be very happy about whatever is going on, just for the mere principle of what they think is an obvious biased decision against them. But let's not talk about that. I've spoke about that quite a bit. There is a development in terms of any kind of appeals or action that is going to come off the back of this announcement. Not from Crystal Palace themselves. They have pretty much confirmed that they're going to be challenging this in the Court for Arbitration for Sport, CAS, before the start of the season. But Parliament here in the UK might well get involved, as members of Parliament have asked Nandy to intervene over Palace's demotion to the Conference League. Who is Nandy and why might she interject in this issue? Let's have a look, guys. Full article here on thefootballchronicle.com as always. A group of Liberal Democrat MPs from London, including party chief Sir Ed Davey, have turned to Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, urging her to examine UEFA's handling of Crystal Palace's exclusion from the Europa League. In a letter obtained by BBC Sport, the 7 MPs called UEFA's move disgraceful and raised objections to what they described as an unusual and severe punishment that cast doubt on fairness and transparency in football governance. Don't worry, there's plenty of doubt on the fairness of football governance. This is nothing new, but it is a very high-profile case and one that is particularly egregious in my opinion. The letter added, other clubs seem to get through much more proactive disputes with less severe outcomes. Many believe the process has been opaque and disproportionately punitive and risks undermining not only the club's achievement but also public confidence in the fairness of football governance. Very eloquently put, and I totally agree with that. It does seem as though the examples of Manchester City and Girona, where they're owned both by the City Group and also, of course, Red Bull Salzburg and Red Bull Leipzig, or should I say RB Leipzig, or just Leipzig, or whatever they're officially known as in Europe. Anyway, they're both owned by Red Bull, and they can compete in the Champions League, no problem whatsoever. In some cases, in the Red Bull clubs, literally against each other. They played each other in the Champions League like 5 years ago. Surely that was against the rules of multi-club ownership. But apparently not. But Crystal Palace and Lyon, yeah, they clearly are doing something wrong here. How dare they? That's sarcasm, just, guys, just for the avoidance of any doubt there. Crystal Palace secured a Europa League berth by lifting the FA Cup in May, but on Friday they were removed from the competition by UEFA due to its multi-club ownership rules. The American investor John Textor holds a minority share in Palace and controls league side Lyon. He's now sold his stake in Crystal Palace just for the avoidance of any doubt there. However, he was still having his minority stake there in Palace back on the March 1st deadline, which, interestingly, I listened to Steve Parish, one of the co-owners of Crystal Palace. That was brought forward. That used to be the 1st of June or something like that back in the day, but now it's the 1st of March. Very interesting how that got moved forward. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy against Palace in particular, but why would they move that date there? That is so arbitrary. Why would you change it? I don't understand it. Palace missed that deadline, of course, and that is why they've been kicked down to the Europa League. Party members of the Lib Dems urged Nandy to check whether the decision-making process is reviewed for transparency and fairness, and that the club is given fair opportunity to appeal or respond to any allegations. In Palace's place, Nottingham Forest, 7th in the Premier League, are now positioned to take the Europa League spot. On Tuesday, Eagles fans marched through South London in protest, gathering at Selhurst Park with signs and chants aimed at UEFA. Club chairman Steve Parish confirmed that Palace will appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. We are still fighting, Parish told the Rest is Football podcast. There's an appeal process, so we go to CAS and we are very hopeful. We think we've got legal arguments. We don't think this is the right decision by any means. We know unequivocally that John didn't have a decisive influence over the club. We know that we proved that beyond all reasonable doubt because it's a fact. I mean, for me, it's cut and dry. Palace should be in the Europa League. They've earned the right. They won the FA Cup. Zero doubt about it whatsoever. It really does stink of, one rule for the rich and one rule for the relatively poor. I know Palace are quite a rich club because they're in the Premier League, but I'm talking about the levels of the European elite here, which this will be their first ever European campaign. And, it's something that should be special. And even if they're in the Conference League, it will be special. It will be. But They should be in the Europa League. It's about the finances and the prestige of that. You win the Europa League, you're into the Champions League. I'm not saying the Palace would win the Europa League, but they'd have a chance. As an English Premier League side, they'd have a chance. I think in the Conference League, to be honest, they should be the heavy favourites if that's the case. I think they'll probably win it. I really do think they'll win it. But we'll see what happens, guys. I hope they're successful in their appeal, but I don't see it. Should the government intervene in the UK? I don't know, to be honest. I mean, there's much more important things to for the government to get on with. I'm not saying this isn't important to Palace fans, because it is, but should this be something that the Culture Secretary is getting involved with? Would she have any power over this? I'm doubtful, to be honest. I really am. But maybe prove me wrong. If I'm wrong on this one, guys, let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe if you want to see more like this, of course. And yeah, if you're a Palace fan, keep fighting the good fight. Keep getting out there and protesting. But honestly, it's not going to do anything. UEFA do what UEFA does, and they don't really answer to anybody, to be honest. But there we go, guys.